following program is a peer-to-peer advice show and does not diagnose mental health conditions. If you're seeking social services, please call or text 211 or go to 211.ca. Hello, listeners around the world on radio streaming and podcast services. This is It's Not Therapy. I'm Liana, and I am not a therapist, but I am your source for navigating the madness of mental health using my top 10 sayings for going good crazy. This week, it's been a few weeks now that I've been struggling regarding how to tackle a particular subject. And that subject, I've referenced it in passing a couple times, but never got into it. It was what happened at the BAFTA Awards some weeks back when John Davidson, whose life was the inspiration for a movie called I Swear, which is about living with Tourette syndrome, shouted the N-word multiple times at Sinners stars Michael B. Jordan, now Academy Award-winning Michael B. Jordan, yeah, and Tony and Academy Award nominated Delroy freaking Lindo. His name is just Delroy Lindo. I just said freaking because I get excited about Delroy Lindo. He was so good in Sinners, so good. Anyway, that happened and it aired on British TV, even though there was a 2-hour delay. The whole thing was a mess. The ensuing discourse was possibly a bigger mess. It's undeniable that these Tourette's syndrome symptoms, something called coprolalia, are often the exact opposite of what the sufferer believes is right and good. But some people still denied that the outbursts were a symptom of a disease, not just someone being awful. Then there were other people who seemed to take the opportunity to insist that Black people just had to stop being so sensitive about that word. We're not even going to get into that. You know, no. This is putting both racial reconciliation and disability inclusion back a few decades. And thanks, I hate it. The BAFTA Awards and the BBC, there's no doubt it completely blew the handling of John Davidson's inclusion he deserved. In my opinion, even the Tourette's organizations didn't do a great job communicating after the fact. So there are plenty of people out there who now think that John Davidson is a racist when he's probably not. At least not that racist, and none of this is fair. It's also not fair to the two actors from a film dealing with racist parts of history, highly connected to that word. They shouldn't have been subjected to that in an award show environment that's supposed to be celebrating the best in the industry, and they were part of that output this year. So everyone failed in that situation, and as Delroy Lindo pointed out, no one from the awards even talked to him or Michael B. Jordan afterward. That's how poorly handled it was. And in my opinion, at the core of this whole mess is the reality that we're trying to have a discussion about things like reasonable accommodation, dignity of risk, duty of care in an environment where people don't understand reasonable accommodation, dignity of risk, and duty of care. Reasonable accommodation is the practice of tweaking policies, practices, environments to allow individuals with protected characteristics, such as disabilities, religion, even pregnancy, to access services or perform job duties. Employers and service providers provide these accommodations up to the point of undue hardship. That is, evidence of significant difficulty or expense. Reasonable accommodations can include things like, schedule adjustments, workspace modifications, modified equipment, stuff that helps you do the job, not stuff that dilutes the job. Work is not charity. Dignity of risk, that other principle, describes the right of individuals to make their own choices, including taking reasonable risks to live a fulfilling, self-determined, independent life. When people say that John Davidson shouldn't have been allowed to even go to the BAFTAs in the first place because of his condition, they're violating this principle. People with disabilities, myself included, have to deal with people getting frustrated with us when we try to do things ourselves that might not go perfectly. And they mean well. They're trying to protect us, but they don't realize what it does to someone to give them the message that they're dependent on other people who, may or may not get to doing those things they need doing in a timely manner, in a way the person with a disability is comfortable with. Sometimes we want to try things just to say we tried, to test our limits, and that's good. Duty of care, on the other hand, is a standard on an individual or organization to avoid careless acts, not necessarily calculated risks, flat out careless acts that could foreseeably harm others. An example of a duty of care concept that we think about a lot is if you drink, don't drive. Balancing duty of care and dignity of risk is an ongoing challenge on personal and cultural levels. This what is risk that isn't careless, right? This sweet spot of risk that isn't careless informs reasonable accommodation. Give people the chance to try. Don't be reckless about it. An additional challenge is that the balance of dignity of risk and duty of care is different for every person with a disability. So I wanted to do what I can do, what I feel is responsible. And the most responsible way, this is why it took me a few weeks to figure this out, the most responsible way I can tackle the underlying concept, not just jumping on the bandwagon of judging the BBC and BAFTAs and Michael B. Jordan and John Davidson and Delroy Lindo. Delroy Lindo's so awesome. But what I thought I could do is bring multiple people on with multiple perspectives to discuss ideas like reasonable accommodation, duty of care, dignity of risk, right? Like, let's just learn this stuff. This week, you're going to meet LJ. And I know LJ personally. He's facilitated some projects for me. LJ is a person with disabilities, and after the break, we're going to talk to him about his opinions on navigating the system and his line regarding reasonable accommodations. Do you have a story you think would be good for the show? Are you interested in sponsoring the show? Liana at nottherapyshow.com is my direct email. Nottherapyshow.com is my website. At Not Therapy Show on social media. Reasonable accommodations. How do you find the right balance? A personal approach. When we come back on It's Not Therapy.
The following program is a peer-to-peer advice show and does not diagnose mental health conditions. If you're seeking social services, please call or text 211 or go to 211.ca.
We're back on It's Not Therapy. I'm still Liana Kersner. I'm still not a therapist. We are continuing my ongoing look at perspectives and reasonable accommodation. And as I said off the top, my guest this week is, well, everybody's, I guess, a regular person, LJ, but you're not a therapist like me. Nope. LJ is a master's student in robotics currently. He's previously trained in the nuclear industry and then industrial automation. And LJ, what more do you want people to know about you, your challenges, why the topic of reasonable accommodation was something you really wanted to come on and talk about?
Okay, so my disability is I had a stroke when I was 5. I also have a diagnosis of ADHD as well. So I have some processing and physical issues. So my brain is wired differently. It just is.
Right.
So the best way I can describe it is with how you access the internet.
Right.
So I have dial-up download, that's information going in, and then high-speed upload information coming out. So
Okay.
any new information that I get that's not tied to any other information that I know of it's dial up. You can hear the machines scream. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not that I'm not understanding, it's that I'm trying to translate what the new information is so it's something that I can understand.
Yeah, you're trying to either form a new schema or incorporate it into an existing schema, and that takes a bit more.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So that has caused, well, we begin with the fact that struggle work looking for work, getting work is a challenge for everybody right now, but you've had some unique things where you're not sure whether you've been excluded from consideration because of your disability without them telling you it's about your disability. And that's a big challenge in the current system. If they find a workaround, it's not illegal. If they exclude you for having a disability, it is. And so you never actually get appropriate feedback, correct?
Yes.
Right. And that's
So
frustrating, obviously.
so I'm either told through email that or not that it's I didn't get the job, but you have a great resume and a great cover letter and would really want to appreciate you further on, or someone else is better than you, but you're still good. You're still great.
Right.
However, went with another person, or no response.
Now, you've had situations where you even got through like security clearance and all that, and then you disclose the disability, and suddenly, oh, we went with somebody else then, yeah?
So interesting story about that. It was apparently up for consideration between me and someone else
Hmm.
for this position. I had to go through to get a security clearance, which involved the Canadian Intelligence Agencies
Yeah.
combing through my history. So that's
It,
CSIS, the RCMP,
it's
their
serious stuff.
own. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
serious stuff.
Yeah,
It
yeah, yeah.
costs an exorbitant amount of money for companies to do this. And
Right.
this is so that I could work in an OPG power plant.
Right.
So across Ontario, there are two nuclear power plants running, and everyone that physically goes in has to have this clearance. And
So
it is a
you're
secret
clearly
clearance.
you're clearly qualified.
Yes.
Right.
So I
Okay.
was told on the same day that, hey, you got your clearance, but we went with someone else.
Right. Now you have some no mobility issues as well, correct?
Yes.
Right.
So I have right side hemoparesis, which basically means my right side is partially paralyzed.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's
So
visible
it
when
is
someone meets you in
visible.
person. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one of those things. It's you've got invisible disabilities, but also visible disabilities. So
Yeah.
you've got the double whammy of people exclude you because they can see something's different, but also they don't believe you for the stuff they can't see.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And this is where we come to reasonable accommodation. And I know
Yes.
we've had conversations about this. We're really on the same page in a lot of ways. But how do you define reasonable accommodation?
So reasonable accommodation falls into two categories. So the first category is the accommodation functional or is it systematic? So an unreasonable accommodation would be me going to the police academy and me graduating and me becoming a police officer. I can't physically do the jobs that a police officer does.
Right,
I just can't. Like, it would be great if I could, but I can't.
right,
And for me to be allowed into that sphere is not only dangerous for me, it's dangerous for everyone else.
right, right. But
So,
something like a bank lowering the teller window for someone who
yes,
uses a wheelchair, different story.
yes.
Right. Now,
Having a clear and concise document put in front of me saying these are what we need. That would be a reasonable accommodation instead of someone scribbling down, this is what we need, somewhat. This is around what we need.
and this is, I mean, I've had you do some facilitation work
Yes.
for me. And you've done a great job. Like I've tested you on this
Yes.
thing. You could do it. And it's not, I mean, to me, it's just the amount of detail I should give everyone. Just I can
Yes.
get away with not doing it with some people. But, when I'm 100% on the ball, what you're asking for is not out of the realm of what good management should provide anyway, in my opinion.
Yes.
So, what do you encounter when you ask for this?
I haven't gotten that far in the
Okay.
job search.
Oh, but with school, you've
With
had
school,
accommodations.
that's another kettle of fish, and it is highly frustrating.
Because of how hard it is and how many hoops you have to jump through.
Yes.
Right.
So it's going through the red tape and me not recognizing that there's red tape there.
Oh,
So
that's
I can't,
understandable. You don't know what you don't know.
yeah, I don't know what
Yeah.
I don't know, and I can't make those intuitive leaps saying that, hey, we don't do this because of these reasons. Okay, I wasn't aware of these reasons. I
Right.
wasn't aware of why we don't do these things.
Right. But you're caught in kind of a double blind where
Yeah.
understandably you have to have accommodations registered with the school. That takes
Yes.
some time. If you didn't, everybody would show up and say, I need my emotional support opossum at the exam day of.
Yes.
Right. And so that's understandable, but how slow the process works is a real challenge for people in your situation. Because sometimes I've heard from other people, you have to talk to three different people to get that one indicator on your digital file so that whoever's running the exam can say, yes, this is allowed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for simple things like doubling the time of the test, very
Right.
easy to get. I have
Okay.
documentation, it's there. Harder things to go for would be noise canceling headphones because I have
You might
ADHD. I'm
be, yeah.
easily distracted. So it's like, hey, what's that? It's like, it's like
Squirrel.
Doug from
Yeah.
Up.
Yeah.
It's like squirrel.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. ADHD is it sounds like you have a distracted ADHD, like inattentive
Yes,
ADHD. Yeah. I mean, that's a common condition, but even something like that sounds like it was a bit of a challenge.
it's overshadowed by my stroke disability
Yeah.
because I have
Okay.
processing issues. So are those processing issues from the stroke or are those processing issues from ADHD?
Right. And it doesn't really matter which it is. The reality is that this is just something that can allow you to do what everybody else does. Now, it's just the novel information that you haven't
Yeah,
had the chance to. So once you get it,
yeah.
you
Once
don't
I
need
get
that
it,
extra.
it's
So on the job, you won't need that extra time.
yes. So it is a ramp up.
Yeah, I admit even I forget about your processing issues sometimes because when you got something down, you are lightning fast.
Yeah,
And I mean, you're very meticulous. You get the job done properly. And things like this where it's like, oh, right. LJ needs the questions in advance because I can't put him on the spot for a
yeah,
radio
yeah.
interview. I'm like, "Brr, right,
Uh,
yeah.
unless you want to deal with buffering time, which is
Right.
always fun. It's like, no,
Yeah.
the mic's not dead. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
Give me a second. The hamster's going in the wheel. It's just taking some time.
Once you are trained in something, you are as good at it as anybody, if not better, because you thoroughly understand it.
Yes.
For me, I think is the critical point because I think a lot of people, and this has been very front of mind with me with the whole fallout from the BAFTA Awards.
I mean, my hot take with the individual with Tourette's,
Hmm.
it's everyone knew it was going to be an issue. They didn't know how much of an issue it was going to be. Why wasn't he brought to the event, but either segregated into a room or had a room available once he went off?
And eventually that's what they did. It just took too long. And that's the sad thing about that whole thing. As somebody who's done accommodation at live events, the point is to let them try.
Yeah.
understanding that if there is an issue, well, we've got a plan. Because if there's a plan, it's less stressful and embarrassing and confusing for everybody around. And the person with the disability agrees to the plan
Yes.
in advance.
Yes.
That all sounds right for you?
Yes. One of the big things that I find difficult is the prep time, the preparation, the not understanding what it is that I have to do before I have to do it.
Again, I think I hear a lot of people who, yes, they have ADHD, but they don't have other challenges on top of
Yeah.
it. And that to me, that is within the realm of, I hate this word, but normal.
Yeah. So, for example, one of the courses that I'm taking right now in my master's program, I have to use a specific software
Uh-huh.
in that course. I have not used it to the extent before, and I've been having a very difficult time using that software because it is programming.
And
You have to understand the syntax,
Mhm.
the coding rules, what have you.
I have asked around. I won't malign the software, but I've asked around with people who do this professionally. You are doing a crash course in notoriously difficult software to learn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, if I had been, I'm not going to say provided, but given more information on the, what do you call it? The extra material and learning modules
Right.
before I took this course, I would have been far more at ease with this course, and I wouldn't be as stressed out as I am in this course because it's not the material that I'm having trouble with, it's the software.
And this is where we get into the trap of, I know with me, high stress exacerbates the symptoms.
Yes.
The increased symptoms create more stress,
Yeah.
and you just get this spiral at
Yes.
that point. And, limiting stress should be something that companies and institutions are interested in doing with everyone. And to me, that's the core problem here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as far as working with companies,
Hmm.
I would, if I were to think of this as a test or as um a brief,
Hmm.
I would say we have these problems. How do we solve these problems?
Hmm.
Okay, have the companies communicate directly with the universities. Like have someone from the companies go to universities and go, hey, we need these many people at these many jobs, entry level, what have you.
And let me tell you, as someone who's done that, you don't get much of a response. It's a
Yeah,
factory.
yeah,
I tried to get interns from a local radio program, and it was whelming, shall we say. I was like, "Hey, there's a job that just opened up at one of the stations. That this is a really good opportunity." Crickets. It
yeah,
was very they're like a slow moving ship, like one of those big tanker ships. They corner real slow.
yes.
Yeah. So let's go to break right now in our conversation with LJ on reasonable accommodation, what it's like from the inside. And when we come back, I want to talk about how to have these conversations about accommodation, and LJ, how you'd prefer these conversations happen. So you got some time to process during the break. Questions, comments, any feedback. Do you want to be on the show to tell your story? Liana at nottherapyshow.com is my email. Nottherapyshow.com is the website. At nottherapyshow is the social media. I've developed this weird thing where I say not therapy instead of not therapy show on the social media. Anyway, reasonable accommodation when we come back with LJ on It's Not Therapy.
The following program is a peer-to-peer advice show and does not diagnose mental health conditions. If you're seeking social services, please call or text 211 or go to 211.ca.
We're back on It's Not Therapy. I'm still Liana. I'm still not a therapist. We are still talking to LJ. LJ is a master's student in robotics. He previously trained in the nuclear industry and industrial automation. If the guy sounds like a modern day Reed Richards, you're not entirely wrong. He is not stretchy, though. LJ is here to talk about reasonable accommodation based on his own experiences, not only being frustrated by the job market like a lot of people out there, but going back to school and discovering that accommodations on paper don't necessarily translate in practice. And LJ, before the break, we talked about, obviously there's a right way and a wrong way to have these conversations. And I think a lot of able-bodied, neurotypical people are scared of being insensitive, and so they do the ultimate insensitive thing and not have the conversation.
Yes.
How should people approach these conversations with somebody regarding access and accommodation?
So first and foremost, address that we're having this conversation because there may be certain issues in the job or in daily life or things that you do that will come up. Maybe it's my job to make sure that if those issues occur, we have a workaround.
Right.
And it's
Right.
not, hey, I'm going to put you to the side and let someone else take over. It's how's the best way that both of us collaboratively can get this job done so you can do it independently
Right. And
if you
not,
need to.
yeah, and not have somebody have to come in and do it.
Yes.
Yeah. That, to me, that's a fail state. I mean, there was a situation, I had an event where we deliberately got a hotel that was fully wheelchair accessible with level access everywhere. People with wheelchairs could be completely independent, including in the shower. And the door button on the washroom, the accessible washroom, was broken. And so the person using a wheelchair could get in, but not get out. And we had someone waiting for, he was going to knock to
Yeah.
the person outside, but that person got distracted because it took a while. And we were having a conversation, and suddenly that person leapt up like his hair was on fire, yelled the guy's name who was in the washroom, and ran out of the room. He'd forgotten him in there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a funny story, but the guy using the wheelchair was ticked at the
Yeah.
time. It
Yep.
really is that absurd.
Yeah.
And you do have to develop a strong sense of humor about certain things, and yet at the same time you do get exhausted every so
Yeah.
often.
So it's, I like to say it's, I'm going to be laughing or I'm going to be crying in the corner. And it's, I choose to laugh at this because of the ridiculousness of this scenario.
Yeah, but that's not something that can be put completely on the shoulders of a person with a disability, right? It
Yeah.
can't all be on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I like to say is that I'm not a child and I'm not
Mhm.
broken. I am just different.
Yeah.
Uh, I may I may chat and say, yeah, I'm a little busted up right now. Don't worry about it. You'll get used to it. But that's humor.
Yeah, and everybody's got something,
Yeah.
quite honestly. You
So
know,
as per conversations, it's I'm not a child. Don't infantilize me. Like just like tell it to me how it is. I will try and work through this and we can work together.
mhm.
If you try and shield me and don't tell me everything, how can I properly work through it?
I can't stand that when people do that well-meaning.
And this is one of the main reasons why I'm not involved in any disability groups, because you always come across those people who want to shield everyone and go, oh, how could you? It's like, you don't have a disability. What are you talking about? You have
Yeah.
no idea what it's like being me. You
Right,
don't.
right. And every
Let
person's
me break your leg
relationship,
and see how you like it.
well, and every
Like,
person's relationship with their disability is different, right?
yeah,
Like your opinions and yours are not the same as somebody else's, and it's all valid.
yes,
Yeah, because there's underlying personality as well as the realities of the disability.
yes. So
Yeah,
what may work for me in my situation may not work for everyone. And
yeah.
that's something that people have to understand. And my situation may change. It probably will change if I'm working on something.
Oh, yeah.
Because at the beginning, I may ask lots of questions, like lots of questions, things that you haven't even thought about because you thought that they were very apparent. To me, not so
Obvious.
much.
Yeah,
Obvious questions. Like, okay, obvious to you, not to me. And
yeah.
I have this situation where I dive deeper into a question and their background information because I don't understand.
I just think you know what you don't know as well. I
Yeah,
mean, there's been a couple times I know with you, I'm like, yeah, how do I explain it? And that makes me better.
yeah,
We seem to be in an age where we're afraid of questions.
yes. And that's something that I've had to work myself around, where it's like, okay, I'm going to ask these questions not because I'm dumb, not because I feel that I won't understand. It's so I have a secure footing in the problem.
Yeah.
Because if we nail down unknowns, we're only left with a few unknowns, and those unknowns we can solve.
And it's easier to get the stuff you can't predict if you've dealt with all the stuff you can.
Yes.
This is an accidental segue, but I'm going to give myself credit for brilliance.
Yeah.
Changes in the system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think would help a lot in businesses is to have a academic education in leadership and management, because those two things are not the same.
No.
And I've heard from lots of people that they're being promoted to a management position, but they're not given any material to go off of for that management position. It's like, okay, you're in a leadership position now. You need to learn how to lead, and you need to learn how to lead effectively. Because
And,
if you don't, you're just going on feelings, and those are rife with biases.
and there's different styles of leadership as well. This was one of the things I got into where all my mentors were men because unfortunately in media, the women who are ahead of you see you as a threat and deliberately sabotage you. Yay! That's one of the uncomfortable things we don't like to talk about, especially in Canadian media. But men would be just go out and do this. Like make them do it. You can't.
So my brother is an officer in the Canadian Armed Forces,
Hmm.
and he had to go through specific books with how to lead and how to manage.
Yeah.
Because he's an officer, he has to manage people. He
Yeah.
has to lead people. Why isn't that filtered to privately owned or publicly owned companies? Hey, you're a manager, you're a leader, you need to know these things. And we're going
Right.
to give you a certificate for knowing these things. You have to do
Right.
a carrot and a stick thing.
Right.
And we can
And
further back that with HR and uh, paperwork. So it's like, hey, you've done these things here. You have these credentials because
mhm.
they are credentials.
Yeah.
So oh, that's why this works, or oh, that's why this doesn't.
Okay, LJ, hold on. We're gonna go through into the next segment. I have more questions. So questions, comments, any feedback from you listening. Liana at nottherapyshow.com. Nottherapyshow.com is the website. At nottherapyshow on social media. Talking to LJ about what it's like to live with disabilities and the unreasonableness of trying to get reasonable accommodation when we come back on It's Not Therapy.
The following program is a peer-to-peer advice show and does not diagnose mental health conditions. If you're seeking social services, please call or text 211 or go to 211.ca.
We're back in It's Not Therapy. I'm still Liana Kirsner. I'm still not a therapist. We're still talking to LJ, a person with a disability, and we've been going through LJ's unique story about being a highly educated person who has struggled to navigate the system, including the educational system, because of the lack of understanding we have generally culturally about disabilities. Now, I think there's an identity piece to it as well. Yeah, in that a lot of people act against their own best interests, vote against their own best interests because they don't like the idea of someone getting something that nobody else gets. Instead of thinking of it as, reasonable accommodation is allowing everyone to do what everyone is allowed to do. And this was the mistake the BAFTAs made with the Tourette situation. Instead of a situation where one person is allowed to do something no one else is allowed to do. No one else could scream the N-word at two Black actors at an award show.
Yeah.
And that, once you put it this way, it's a fairly simple litmus test, right? You just want the right to go to work and go to school.
Yes.
And contribute to society in ways that, I will repeat again, you are very organized and you are very diligent, and it makes no sense that you have trained in 3 different fields at this point.
Yes. One of the big issues that I find with looking for work is it is a job and I was not trained in that job. And it
And
is a black box. So you're throwing stuff in and you have no idea if it works or not.
I hope that people listening right now are really listening to what you're saying, because I think that you're the vanguard, right? You're the one that gets the flaws and holes in the system first.
Yeah. I like to say that my particular job set
Mhm.
is I'm the canary in the coal mine
You are.
because I could have predicted, like I had trouble before COVID in finding work.
Yeah.
And then it took me 6 years in looking for a job, and
Yeah.
I was underemployed by my father, but it took me 6 years before I went back to university for this master's. And it's not that the jobs weren't there, it's that there were barriers in place that I couldn't negotiate.
Well, the schools put out too many engineers. And
Yeah.
so people in other fields, it's what's happening in coding right now. All these massive job layoffs, thousands of people get let go at the same time. There's this ripple effect. And it's not just happening in coding, it's happening in opera. Sorry, Timothy Chalamet, because they shut down the Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so people think, well, this won't happen to me. I don't have these issues. I argue, watch that.
Yeah. It's not that it won't happen, it's that it could happen and give it time. It's not happening right now.
Yeah.
It could happen 2 or 3 years from now.
Yeah.
And that's how the system is working.
Yeah. And it's funny that we sort of, I don't know, put John Davidson, the Tourette's guy, up on this sort of unnatural pedestal and then make movies about him and have him be this stunning and brave phenomenon, right? And then he becomes this object of worldwide judgment because an award show and a TV network Like the BBC should not have aired those comments uncensored. That, uh, as somebody who has been in a production truck when something like that happens, I know what happens in a normally functioning production. The audio guy goes, "Did you guys hear that?" And in the truck, "No, you didn't, because it's really freaking loud." You go, "Hear what?" "He just dropped the N bomb twice." "Seriously? Okay, we better fix that." And they had 2 hours to do it. And the great tragedy of that whole thing is now the world is debating whether John Davidson is a racist instead of understanding Tourette's and figuring out what we're going to do about it.
Yes.
Yeah. And what do you think about that idea of somebody with a disability becomes this, arbitration or judgment of the individual instead of, look, fact, he couldn't help it. Let's look at the system and see what went wrong there.
So as far as building someone up who has a disability or a quality
Hmm.
because they have that quality instead of them being a person, it's I have a disability, but I'm also a person. Let's focus on the person with that disability, not, oh, hey, here's a prop, because that's what you
Yeah.
turn into, a prop, and we're going to build you up and then we're going to knock you down because, oh, you're no longer interesting to us. Or it's you've said something or done something so outlandish and so against the grain of society that this will not stand. How could you?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't want you to pat me on the head. I don't want you to say good boy. No, no, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. Let's fix the issue. I
Yeah.
do not care about feelings. I want the issue fixed, and then feelings can be addressed later
I
because
know
we're
that
dealing with a systemic thing, not a hopes and dreams, not feelings.
I know this wasn't a question I prepped you for, so if there's buffering, I'll take it out.
Okay.
But I have been thinking about this because I had an issue where somebody injected feelings into a business conversation lately, and I literally went, "Oh God, don't do this." And I definitely think that I am tougher with that stuff. I am more intent on separating work and business from feelings. Don't abuse anybody,
Yeah.
but whether I feel comfortable in a situation or I feel hurt in a situation, sometimes it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to center someone else taking a liberty that I don't get.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way?
So what you're discussing is being work hardened.
Yeah,
So it's you are work hardened, so you're able to deal with that is the area of concern. So
right,
you can cut right through it and go right to the heart of the matter. It's this doesn't work. I want to fix it. Help me fix it.
right,
Or this doesn't work. This is a solution, not the solution,
right,
which is on its own, but a solution that I found that does work for me.
right,
It may not work for everyone, but it
right,
works for me.
right.
If you invest feelings into this, you're no longer looking for the solution. You are looking to infantilize me. That doesn't work.
Yeah. And don't get me
It's, oh,
wrong.
how could you?
Yeah.
Pearl clutching. Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm trying to fix the problem. There's a problem here, clearly,
Right.
and I'm trying to fix it.
And and don't get me wrong, feelings do matter. I mean, if I'm dealing with somebody who is frustrated because accommodation failed at some
Yeah,
point, I am going to accept that their frustration, even if they yell at me a little, they're not really yelling at me. And that's the
yeah,
thing, right? When you shut down the negative feelings, air quotes, of a person with a disability, you're, or anybody, if
yeah,
they're appropriate negative feelings, you're not going to get the best solution because you're ignoring data.
yeah. So I'm in some of the courses that I'm in, we're talking about control systems.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go for from that point of view. We have negative and positive feedback. If you negate negative feedback, you're not getting all the information that you need. And if you do that, you're not getting the complete solution and you're not solving the problem. You might get close, but you're not solving the problem.
Yeah.
And that's how I like to address it. It's you're not the problem. I'm not the problem. It is a problem that this situation has presented.
Right.
Now we fix it.
Right.
Or we find ways around it.
Yeah. I mean, I say on this show, ignoring negatives isn't being positive. It's the exact same thing. You know, Tuesday, I woke up, my eyes didn't work. Can I just ignore that? No, that's the reality of dealing with an autoimmune disease. Did I quit? No, I just let people know that, hey, my left eye is watering on, it's still doing it. You may have seen it, but it's like, hey, my left eye is watering uncontrollably. Don't exactly know why, but I'm not upset. It's just a symptom. And most people are really good about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, LJ, I hope that people listening to this think you're as awesome as I do. You know, I think that everybody deserves more support in the world. And if we properly meet these challenges, we'll get there. Because sometimes finding a better way for one person makes you realize that, no, this is actually better for everybody. Let's just implement this as policy.
Yeah, that's one of the other big issues. It's like, okay, maybe we're solving a systemic problem that is helpful to everyone, not just the person that has brought it up.
Yeah. And maybe we have to completely rethink efficiency and productivity. It's not how much you're doing day to day. It's how much you get done at, say, the end of the month or the end of the year. And if that number is bigger long term, that's what we want, other than this idea of quarter to quarter productivity. So, LJ, I'll let you have the last word because I've soapboxed a lot on this interview. But is there anything else you would like people to know?
I'm going to go with a cliche, but it's persons with disabilities or people that have disabilities or accessibility. We're just people. We're just a little different. We're not broken. We're just a little different. Situations that have affected us in societally negative ways. It's not our fault. It just is what it is, and we want to work. We want to be the best of ourselves and contribute to society versus having free meals.
Right.
Because everyone suffers if that happens.
All right, we are out of time. Worth it, I think. Liana at nottherapyshow.com, nottherapyshow.com, or at nottherapyshow on social media. If you're looking to maybe tell your story, maybe comment on this story, maybe say, hey, this guy sounds great, I want to hire him. Hey, wouldn't that be great if we could do that for people? Yeah, anyway, I'm out of time. We'll continue this subject next week. Remember, your crazy is only a problem if it's hurting you. Talk soon.